Peace and love, y'all. Welcome back to another moment of stillness. My name is Itai. I'm 23 years old and I'm back home in New York City after 1 year of solo traveling all across Asia, studying yoga, and fostering an online community of over 400,000 yogis. Right off the bat, I want to thank my therapist for the inspiration behind this episode. This week was my first time seeing her after an entire year apart, and we were unpacking something that I want to look at a little more closely. She kind of helped me uncover this tendency I have, this fear I have of being vulnerable online. If y'all seen my videos, you know that something that makes me really happy is spreading positivity, spreading joy, being smiley online. And if y'all see me on the street, 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna be smiley too. But that 1 time out of 10 where emotions are moving through me, it's completely human, but for some reason I don't feel inclined to share it online. And now I'm asking why. I don't think I'm the only one. I think that we all have this tendency to use our social media as a highlight reel, as a supercut, and we love to keep our shadow private. And the trouble is, I know that every time somebody is vulnerable online, the people who relate to their feeling, who relate to their circumstance, are gonna feel validated, are gonna feel seen, are gonna feel supported, are gonna feel like they're not having a unique experience. And that is priceless. You know, so much of what we get online is motivation and inspiration, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we can be as uplifted by seeing someone who's struggling in the same way that we are. So why have I been so resistant to that? You know, as a yoga teacher, I guess I had this limiting belief about myself that in order to maintain credibility, I had to be perfect. And no human is perfect, but we live in a day and age where every artist has become a brand, almost a company. And I had this subconscious programming that if I want people to listen to me, I better be a flawless individual or else why would they listen to me, right? So many people are out there teaching the Dharma. And to be honest with you, there's an epidemic of appearing perfect when nobody's perfect, really. And so as I'm unpacking this belief, I'm realizing that I don't want to be perfect. I want to be human and I want to be expanding and ever in pursuit of perfection, but understanding that I will never get there because it's just an ideal. You can count to infinity all your life, but you will never get there. You'll be saying rational numbers from now till the day you die. And self-expansion, personal growth, spiritual development is the same way. Every day we get 1 millimeter closer to infinity. But personally, I'm over suppressing and ignoring the darkness that I'm still working through. Not only do I want to give it my attention, but I want to cradle it in my arms like a baby, asking it what it needs, asking it how I can serve it and help it grow up to come into the light. So I haven't written a script for this episode. As y'all know, I usually don't do that. I'm just kind of speaking freely from the heart, thinking about the responsibility that we all have to be human online. I'll tell y'all one story about how I had this really tough day in India a few months ago. And I came back to my home and I wrote a journal entry about it where I was just kind of seething, complaining, wondering where's the light in this dark world? And this is not usually my outlook. Ask any one of my friends. I naturally incline towards bubbly, smiles, dancing at inappropriate times, breaking out into song, skipping down the street. And yet, that's not the totality of my existence. It couldn't be. And so writing this journal entry about that dark time made me really uncomfortable. It felt like I was casting a dark spell. It felt like I was conjuring an evil spirit. But I realized that might be a symptom of toxic positivity. It made me realize I had a very strong aversion to darkness. I actually ended up posting this journal entry, and then I took it down like 5 minutes later because I got so scared. My fear was not that anyone would see it and judge me. My fear was that somebody would see it and it would ruin their day and I would drag them down with me, because the reason I show up online is to uplift people and to make people smile. But is life really all smiles? Should it be all smiles? I think about the black and white photography class I took in high school and how we learned that all good images have contrast. If there was no suffering, we would have no reverence for joy. Joy would seem bland. And so suffering plays a very necessary role, and I'm done suppressing the suffering and procrastinating the processing that has to happen in order to heal it. But yeah, think back about that time when I deleted that journal entry. It made me so uncomfortable to post, and now I want to share it with y'all. I want to share that journal entry and kind of overcome my fear, break down this mental wall that I have about being vulnerable online, being imperfect, talking about the harder aspects of life, because that's not what I do, right? I do guided meditations, I tell inspiring stories that will make people smile, but I listen to sad music. I wouldn't mind watching a sad movie every so often. And so why do I think that the art I create is any different? Why must it be positive? So I'm about to read y'all this. this journal entry I wrote during a really difficult time. And you can love it, you can hate it. I want to be clear that the reason I'm sharing it is so that I can get over this fear of sharing my darkness online. But my hope is that you'll hear it and you will relate to it, and it will recontextualize a little nugget of pain that maybe you were burying. You can bring it back up to the surface and look at it and realize that it's just human, and it's one of the greatest joys of life. All right, here we go. I'll read it now. March 6th, 2025. Mysore, Karnataka, India. There are days I wonder if my heart can survive this world intact. I want so desperately to walk through life with my chest wide open, soft and trusting, every breath a quiet hymn to grace. But it feels like swimming upstream. Every day I resist the undertow, a current made from other people's warnings, my own missteps, and the whispered fears passed down from traveler to traveler. Here in India, both locals and foreigners alike have their cautionary scripts ready. Be careful. Don't trust everyone. Watch your back. But I want to rebel. I want to prove, if only to myself, that this world is still full of kindness. That under the bargaining, the hustling, the stories told to make a sale, there are hearts just like mine, longing to be seen and believed in. I want to prove it so badly that it hurts. And yet, it's exhausting work, this practice of keeping the door open. I slip up sometimes. And today was one of those days. In the heart of Mysore, I wandered near the palace market, weaving through incense smoke and the calls of shopkeepers. A rickshaw driver offered me a tour for a fair price. His smile was wide, his voice warm. When he asked if I wanted to visit a yoga museum along the way, I agreed without hesitation. Yoga is, after all, why I came. He pointed to a narrow doorway and said, "In there." The museum was a shop. Silk scarves poured from every shelf, shimmering like captured sunlight. I fingered the fabric, tempted. When the price came, I haggled fiercely, cutting it down by 75%. Was I defending myself or attacking the salesman? I couldn't say. But something cracked between me and the driver. A small, silent fracture in trust. At Mysore Palace, I drifted through corridors lined with oil paintings, elephants draped in gold, servants bowed low, rubies sparkling on the necks of queens who never carried their own burdens. Beauty built on someone else's back. I stood beneath a chandelier the size of a small planet and wondered, how much suffering does it take to make something this beautiful? By the time I left, I was dizzy with contradictions, awe and guilt, wonder and unease. Outside, the dance began again. As I ordered an Uber, a driver pulled up beside me, his smile as bright as the midday sun. "Where do you want to go?" he asked. I told him I had a ride coming. "I'll take you for the same price," he said, his voice soft but persistent. When he offered to drive me across town for 20 rupees, about 20 cents, I felt the familiar wall rise in my chest. Why so cheap? What was the catch? He placed his hand on his heart. "I just want to make you happy," he said. "If I do something good for you, something good will happen to me." It was a beautiful sentiment, one I should have believed in, but my guard was already up. My smile was polite but thin. I canceled my Uber and stepped in his vehicle. I don't know why. We drove in silence until he asked what I did for work. When I told him I was a musician, his face lit up. "My music shop is nearby. I'll show you," he said. "No, please," I said, "just take me home." He asked again. I said no, a little sharper this time. His face darkened. "Why are you being so mean to me?" he asked. "I'm being nice to you." My tongue tripped over itself, unable to explain the weight I was carrying, the mistrust I never wanted, the fatigue of navigating between being open-hearted and being taken for a fool. I wanted to trust him. I wanted to believe in his kindness. But there was a splinter in my soul and I couldn't pull it out fast enough. We drove in silence, the air heavy between us. After a while, he said softly, "People are actually nice, you know." I nodded. "I know that, but some days it's hard to feel it," I said. He told me I'd only seen the markets, places where money sharpens everything to an edge. "Real India is kind," he said. "I want to show you that." When we reached my accommodation, I paid him not 20 rupees, but 200. A small gesture, a way to apologize without words. He accepted the money with a nod, neither grateful nor indifferent, just human. I stood on the street after he left, holding the weight of my own confusion. Why had I doubted him? What is this armor I keep slipping into, even when no one is holding a sword? Is mistrust a necessary survival instinct, or is it pollution? A stain on the lens through which I want to see the world. I believe in love. I believe in respect. I believe in the quiet revolution of trusting first. But what do I do when the world wears me down, when I cannot retreat to silence to repair my softness? What do I do when my own defenses hurt the very people I want to honor? I don't have the answers. Only questions and the quiet resolve to try again tomorrow. These days are rare. Most of the time, I walk these streets like a child, wide-eyed, smiling, eager to hug every soul I meet. That's not fantasy. That's the way I've always lived. But life is not consistent. It throws in anomalies to remind me that my ideals are not yet unshakable. Still, I forgive myself. This, too, is part of the pilgrimage. I will learn to hold my heart like a delicate offering, tender, but strong enough not to crumble at the first hint of fear. I will learn to trust my instincts without turning them into accusations. I will find the space between being a fool and being a fortress. I do not want to be a victim. I want to be a protagonist. More than that, I want to be a giver. And if I ever forget how to give freely, I will remember the trees. How they stretch their roots deep underground, weaving unseen networks of nourishment. They share sunlight and water without asking for anything back. No price, no haggling, no mistrust. Why can't we live like that? So that was the journal entry. Thank you for listening. The last sentence about the trees was inspired by this meme I saw, which is funny to say. It was a picture of tree roots under the soil and they were all intertwined, and the caption was, "Hold up a minute, why are they sharing resources with no profit incentive?" I thought that was so funny because it's become inconceivable to humans to share resources with no profit incentive. Anyway, that cynicism that I felt on that day is just a symptom of the growing pains that come along with expansion. My good friend Vanessa, who has an amazing podcast called Figuring Shit Out, she always says that before you expand, you're going to contract. And I'm starting to see that every whisper of suffering, every feeling of darkness is almost foreshadowing the light around the corner. Life moves in peaks and valleys. I'm tired of only giving love to the peaks. Talking about this is conjuring up in my mind the image of a mountain range. And at golden hour, at sunrise or sunset, the peaks get all the love, get all the light, and the valleys are engulfed in shadow. It doesn't mean that the valleys aren't beautiful in their own way. It just means that they're given a different role. I mean, when I was in my last teacher training, yin yoga teacher training, I learned a lot of ancient Chinese philosophy, including the concept of yin and yang, and how these opposites balance each other. In yoga philosophy, they call it Ida and Pingala, or masculine and feminine, Surya and Chandra, Ha and Ta. It goes by so many names. The duality of being a human. And this thought process is making me realize something. It's making me realize that I am telling an incomplete story if I only share the light online. And if I do share the dark in an equal dose, then I will be whole. But until then, I cannot be whole. In fact, it could be very dangerous to perpetrate an image that seems perfect, but in reality is incomplete, because it's no secret that social media perpetrates unhealthy beauty standards and stories of riches and jubilance that make consumers feel inadequate. I don't want to be a part of that. I would love for y'all to know that you're fine just the way you are. I really mean that. And I wish someone told me that when I was 14 scrolling on Instagram thinking that I was worthless. And it feels so good to share that difficult thing that I experienced with y'all. I mean, from a purely artistic perspective, conflict is at the center of every good story, and there's no good story without conflict. And there's a reason the Bible is the story, there's a reason the Mahabharata is a story. If we share information, if we share wisdom, a nugget of truth, a moral, through a story, rather than just saying it flat out of context, the story is going to be way more persuasive because of the conflict, because of the pain. So in this autobiographical story that I'm telling about myself, I'm realizing the conflict is the most important part. And if I just show up here telling y'all this meditation changed my life, this yoga pose got me to quit marijuana, those things are true, but sharing that without sharing the pain of overcoming falls short. It's hollow. And as of today, I'm done with that. This marks a new chapter for me of contrast, of valuing yin and yang equally. And if you're listening to this, think about a time you were going through something hard and you didn't share with a person who could have helped you. Maybe someone asked you how you're doing and you said behind the facade of a fake smile, "I'm good, I'm chilling," when really you were going through it. I've been there. I know we've all been there. And if you want, we're here for you. Drop in the comments something that you're going through and just watch how everyone clamors to shower you in love and affection and validation. These are universal problems. These are not unique problems that no one else has been through. And I guarantee I'm going through what you're going through. Oh, that felt good. What a release. I feel like I just let go of baggage I was carrying for a long time. We can give suffering up to God. God can always take it. Thank you for joining me for this moment of stillness. If you're new here, please follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars wherever you listen, leave a comment, introduce yourself, say what's up, let me know what resonated most from the episode, let me know what I should talk about next. Send it to your homie, send it to your mom, send it to your role model, send it to your sibling. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace and love.